I thought I was going to be an investment banker my whole life. Look where I am now. Right? Who would have thought?
If you'd come to me as an investment banker, I would have walked out the door.
So listen, man, here's the deal. Let me be honest with you, right?
Am I right, Crispy?
Probably.
Yeah. Before we get into it here, let me just defend that position real quick here, buddy. I had, growing up, family and friends who were fishermen on the wharf going out lobstering and crabbing and tuna every year.
Right.
Right? And friends who had high-end jobs who went to university. I could walk in both worlds. They could send me anybody sitting at that desk, and I could talk to them at their level, our level. I could meet their...
Are you saying you're talking down to me?
No. That would be condescending. That's talking about you. Shout out to Big Mike, my favorite joke ever. No, man, I could talk to a salt-of-the-earth person, or I could talk to somebody who I got a bunch of money. Yeah, I got real lucky in that way.
Right.
But I kind of see what you're saying, because knowing me now and looking at me now, I'm a dramatically different person than I was then.
Right.
By a lot.
I've seen pictures of young you.
Oh, I just don't mean how I look.
Kind of funny.
Yeah, I just don't mean how I look. Listen, I'll put up some pictures on social media. I don't care at all. No, I found it easier. I didn't need to have all high-end clients. I didn't just deal with farmers and fishermen. I'd deal with anybody. Made it real easy. Anybody came through the door, they could just send them out.
Right.
Yeah, very rarely did I have a disagreement with anybody. Man, we got off on a real tangent here at the start here.
No, that's all right, man.
All right. How are you, man? Let's get into it here. Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of the I Shower After Work podcast. We are here on the East Side Job Trailer again today. I am across the desk from John, as always. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, my brother.
How was your week?
I was good. I can't really complain about anything. I woke up sucking wind, so fantastic.
Small victories, right? Yeah, I'm still employed. It's great.
Yeah.
Well, we got a fun one here today, man. We were happy to have a returning guest with us today. If you haven't listened to his first episode, pause, go back and check out episode 26 of season 1 and get yourself caught up. But as a quick recap, we have with us again today a father, brother, husband, and grandfather. He's got experience in refineries, welding, former member of the fire department, and as always, a United States Marine. His birth certificate may say Steve Crisp, but we all simply know him as Crispy. Welcome back, buddy.
Thank you, sir.
Cheers,
Good
man. We're
back.
happy to have you back in the podcast.
Cheers around.
Excellent. How have things been since we last talked to you, sir?
Actually, really good. You know, it's the winter's kind of a dull drum here and nothing really going on, so it's quiet. It's been quiet for me.
Yeah, we can fall into that winter hibernation mode pretty easy.
Oh, I slide right in without a problem.
Yeah, tranquilized bear 10 minutes after I get home from work. It's never good. As a quick recap for everybody, we did speak in the last episode a little bit about Crispy's work history, his experience definitely in welding, but in the refineries especially, we had a good long talk about that. So again, if you haven't listened, go back, maybe listen to that one first.
Right.
But today we wanted to focus on one thing a little different. Your experience as a firefighter, you were interested in coming on and just giving us some history, giving us some stories, some background. What do you think, my man?
Absolutely. I think it'll be a great topic to surface around here today.
Nice.
So we talked about it after our last recording.
Right.
That's where you were really passionate about.
Absolutely.
And that's something that you really leaned into hard. How long were you in the fire department area?
I have a combination of 48 years on 2 different departments that I had the honor and pleasure to be on.
Jesus. And one of those you were the chief, right?
At the refinery, yes. I was a fire chief out at the refinery.
Good Lord.
And with the Hastings fire, I escalated to a lieutenant before I retired.
Wow.
Nice. Before we get too far in, tell us how you got into the fire department in the first place. Like, what led you there? What was the process of getting in?
You're going to find this funny.
That's what we're hoping for, buddy. Yeah, play it on.
So when I was young, and I'm talking probably 12 years old, Hastings had just got that new big ladder. And I was across the street, across the highway on 61. And they had it sitting out on the apron. And I was mesmerized by it, and I took off running towards it. And I got hit by a car.
What the fuck? Actually struck by a vehicle.
Yep. I heard the tires squealing, and I turned, put my hands on the hood, and he hit me in the legs, and I went flying backwards, and all the firefighters looked out there like, oh my. I got up and took off running. I didn't even stop. I
For
was
the ladder.
so scared. And not for the ladder. I ran away.
You ran home.
Yeah. These are back in the days when if you got in trouble as a kid, all adults just assumed it was the kid's fault immediately, even your own parents, right? Like, yeah, we remember those days. Right. No coddling. What did you do? I didn't do anything. The guy hit me with a car. Like, what do you mean?
You didn't get hurt by the car. Now you're getting your ass whooped for running out in front of the car.
But no, I think that first time I seen that big truck, I was mesmerized and I wanted it.
Absolutely. I think we do that a lot even as kids. I think that's why you probably see or hear a lot of young kids be like, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a policeman.
And how many fire truck toys they sell every year?
Oh, God.
You guys talk. I'm going to look it up. I bet it's a ton.
A pile of them. I mean, I got fire truck toys when I was a kid.
It's got to be a close running with Tonka.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for
sure. That and Hot Wheels.
Yep.
Yeah.
But you look at what you've been able to accomplish in the two different fire departments, right?
Right.
The one fire department was in the refinery. It was localized to the refinery.
Yes.
So how different is it to be on a fire department that's in a refinery compared to a fire department that's taking care of the public?
The industrial versus municipal, there's a huge difference.
Yeah.
The call volume, for one, there's hardly any of it out there at the refinery, but when it does happen, when shit hits the fan, it's bad.
Yeah, it's really hitting the fan, right?
But how we train kind of come along the same lines. We do high angle rescue. We do confined space rescue. You name it. Well, we do it all. Medical in the refinery as well. Taught all the guys, at least first responder stuff.
Right.
Outside the municipal department, you've got a whole gamut of what you're going to run into. Anything from a burning building to car crashes to medical emergencies, you name it. And there's a lot more of it in the municipality versus an industrial.
Well, there's a lot more stupid people doing stupid shit, right?
That's fact.
So let me pick your brain once real quick. Recently, I heard about the refinery in New Jersey, largest gasoline refinery on the east coast of the country.
Right. Just
blew up. Huge fire, huge fireball explosion. It was horrible. I don't know how many people got hurt. What happens on a firefighter's aspect when something goes that horribly wrong?
Well, that's pretty much the worst day of your life.
Right.
There are so many safety features built into refineries nowadays. You can't drive it into the ditch anymore.
Oh, okay.
There's safety features that will shut things down before you have the thought process to do it yourself.
Okay.
But on something that magnitude, and I've been involved in quite a few of them at St. Paul Park.
Okay.
But I've been involved with 2 tank fires, massive unit fires, explosions, you name it. I've done all of it.
Right.
And in all that time, I've only seen 2 fatalities.
That's pretty amazing.
That's amazing.
That is absolutely amazing.
For the destruction that's happened over the years.
You'll see way more in the municipality side than that.
Yes. One thing with the municipality side, every time I drive by where there was a house fire or a bad car crash or accident or whatever, every time I drive by there, it clicks in your head. Oh, I remember that one. You don't lose it.
That shit doesn't go away, right?
That is a fact. Yep.
So when it comes to a refinery fire, like, is it just fucking straight chaos when that happens?
Yep. It's chaos. I mean, everybody has a role. Everybody has a part, right down to operations.
Right. And you guys practice that
all the time. That's
religiously, right?
Yes. Yep. We at the refinery, all the guys besides myself were what we consider like paid on call.
Okay.
That's not their normal job. They are operators, but they do this on the side, and they get paid time and a half for it. But there's a lot of training that we go through. We hire a lot of companies to come in and help us train.
Yep.
We send people out of state to train. So yeah, there's a lot involved.
How many guys are on site that do that dual role situation at the same time?
Well, there's different process areas, and there's 4 different crews. So nobody's on at the same time. So in the actual people in the refinery that are firefighters and operators, there may be 4 or 5.
Okay.
And when proverbial shit hits the fan, we page them all out.
Right.
And then everybody comes running. Plus, we've got Cottage Grove, St. Paul Park, Newport. We'll scale up as much as we need to.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Pull guys from other refineries. And
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, when
So,
something
like, get
goes,
here.
when something goes wrong, it's all hands on deck, right?
Oh, yeah.
To fall back real quick here, I just did a bit of quick research. This is one toy company alone called Joyin. It looks like they make 14 different variations of fire trucks and ladders and rescue helicopters that they sell as toys.
Mhm.
At an average retail price of $24.99, they sell an average of $1.4 million a year. That's $35 million a year, just slightly less by that one company in fire truck related toys. Just saying.
Jesus.
And I'd never heard of that one. I was looking up Hasbro and shit. They probably sell way more, right? So anyway,
Right.
sorry, fellas. Just a little. I was looking into that.
That is absolutely
That
insane.
one company sells almost $35 million in just fire truck toys every year.
That
I'm
is
in the
crazy.
wrong business. Yeah.
Man.
All of us sitting here at this table are in the wrong goddamn business.
So when you, I know you told us about your experience with the truck and the ladder, so that you got fascinated with firefighting. Then, when you first started off on that side of things, working in the fire end at the refinery, how much time, percentage-wise, was spent on training on a monthly, yearly basis, whatever works? Like,
Well, I would say it's on a monthly basis, and we would train pretty much all day. So about an 8-hour day of training for the refinery guys that are on the fire department.
and that'd be paper and hands-on, right?
Paper and hands on
Okay.
everything.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Sure. What about on the municipality side?
Like with Hastings, we would train 2 times a month, and one would be on the fire aspect of things, and the other training session would be on the medical aspect. So,
Okay.
But then there's other times where we go do live burns. So we're going off site, different places as well. So the average firefighter, I imagine, trains at least, I would say, 8 to 20 hours a month.
That's a lot.
That is
Yeah,
that's a chunk.
Yeah, we do 8 hours a year with my company,
Right.
one day.
Yep.
Okay.
So when it comes to that, I remember being in high school, right, in Sundance, and all of a sudden we're looking out the window from the classroom and fire departments rolling up, no lights on. We just see a bunch of fire trucks coming. And then all of a sudden they wheel out this gigantic propane tank and they light the damn thing on fire. And then they're told to put it out. And we're just all amazed. Like the class just stopped. We didn't learn a goddamn thing for 45 minutes. We were just watching this because they'd light it, they'd put it out, they'd light it again, they'd put it out. And they did that all day long.
Right. Yeah. Oh,
And
Oh, we got an alarm going off.
okay, that's not my phone this time.
No, it's not your phone this
I'd like
time.
to
No.
I
that up.
did silence that. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, it happens, buddy.
Yeah, at the refinery, we have training grounds. And propane, gasoline, we have a tank out there that we cut down, and we use it to throw foam at it, teach everybody,
Sure.
and teach them how to make the movements towards a valve. And when we bring in Cottage Grove, St. Paul Park, Newport, I mean, the guys love it. They eat it up.
Right. Well, not to mention, you also got to be dealing with the variety of other chemicals that are part of the process and knowing how they interact and how they make fire. And it seems like a rabbit hole. That's why we wanted to ask you, man. It seems
Oh,
like
yeah.
the learning curve is got to be so steep.
Oh, yes. Yeah, there are so many different areas that you have to be trained in. I mean, everything in that refinery is hazardous to you.
Yep.
Even some of the people, I'm sure.
Some of them have been hazardous.
Yeah. But being a chief in that position, you not only have to know your guys, but you have to know everything about every situation
Right.
in order to be able to lead them, right?
Right. Yeah. And all the units, all process units have so much equipment out there. you have to know what that equipment is doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of great that I grew up as an operator and then transitioned into the fire chief. So that gave me a lot of advantage. And all the fire suppression systems that are around there, you have to be knowledgeable on all of it.
Definitely. So I found a statistic here that I wanted to fire past you, man, because I have no literal experience. Obviously, I've never worked for the fire department. In 2022, according to datausa.io, of the approximately 336,874 people who were involved in the fire department in some form, that 4.43% of them were women. Does that sound about right to you?
Pretty much so.
1 in 20?
1 in 20.
Give or take? Does that math work out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, there's no discrimination against females working in the fire department. The ones that you saw there, what do you think differentiated them to actually get involved? Because, I mean, we're big proponents of male, female, black, white. We don't care, being involved in every industry.
Right.
The females that you saw that succeeded, what was it that gave them the drive to do it? Like, how are they different?
I think sometimes they want to prove themselves to people. Some of them that are there would rather be on the medical side of things, which is totally fine.
Right.
EMS,
Yeah.
paramedics, whatever it is. Some of them I wouldn't want to go in a burning building with, because if I went down, I know there's no way in hell that woman's going to get me out.
Right. You in full of gear. Right.
Yep.
Right.
Well, you got to figure
200 and some pounds of.
Right. You got to figure the gear that you are wearing equates to about 40 pounds.
Yep.
Plus your weight.
Yep.
So back in my day, you're looking at 260 pounds trying to get out the door.
Right.
Oh, right. And shout out, if I remember to put it up on social media, maybe John will remind me. I saw a video recently on Instagram, a lady firefighter hanging from a bar with both arms, put on her gear,
I seen
Yeah.
that.
and then took it back off again.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yep.
I tried to do a plank for the length of the video in my living room. I'm not embarrassed to tell you, I didn't make it.
Yeah. No.
That lady, shout out. I'm going to try to put that up. That lady is wildly in shape. So,
Oh, yeah. And she didn't look all that big either, though.
No, she wasn't a gigantic woman.
No.
She was just fit. She was
Yep.
ready for work. If there was a fire, she could carry me out, no problem.
Absolutely.
Maybe even if there wasn't a fire.
I tell you what, when it comes right down to it, when it comes to women and men in the EMS and firefighting situation, I would much rather, if I'm in a medical emergency, I would much rather have a lady come up to me as an EMS than a guy like you, Crispy. I love you, man, but damn it.
Well, you remember, I didn't look like this always.
Yeah, let's say, yeah. That face was looking down at me
No,
when
you
I came.
always looked like that.
Yeah. Slight changes in the beard and attitude over the year, but pretty simple. So with your time in both the refinery and for the Hastings FD, did you prefer one or the other?
No, I enjoyed both of them.
Okay.
I mean, they both brought different aspects to the table.
Sure.
And I learned an incredible amount of stuff over the 48 years I was on both departments.
Right. So one of the big differences that I was kind of noticing, though, were you, and I don't know for sure, that's why I'm asking the question, were you considered full-time, partial time, on-call?
Full-time with the refinery.
Yep.
Paid on-call with the municipality.
Paid on-call to municipality.
Right. And, you say which one's better, which one's whatever. The downfall of being on a municipal department is you get burnt out.
Yeah, you never
You're
know when
always
those
going,
calls
right?
are coming, right?
That page is coming at any given moment.
Yeah.
And it's usually coming over supper time or 2:00 in the morning.
Right.
Right. When things are popping off, right? Lots
Right.
of travel, lots of drunk people. Like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, shout out to my buddy Kenny S. He's a lieutenant. I wish I could remember where he is with the volunteer fire department, but he's been at it a long time. So how are you, Kenny?
Right.
So now that you tell us that, man, obviously there's different aspects between the municipal and being at the refinery or whatever. Did you find that there was a preference you had between an active fire and an EMS situation? Because I know you've kind of been to both, right? They're totally different animals. You can talk honestly today, buddy. We're gonna have a public service announcement in advance of this episode to let people know what's going to be on here. You share as much as you feel comfortable sharing. I know you've seen some shit. Is basically what I'm getting at.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I've seen everything from the 35 bridge collapse. I was there.
I was on that bridge 20 minutes before it collapsed, by the way. Keep going.
Right. And I was on the north side. That was when I was with the SOT team, Special Operations Team. And we ended up pulling out 2 dead bodies. And the one, it was a lady in a car, and she survived it. And then the sign that goes all the way across the bridge on 2 big pipes came down on top of her car.
Ah, son of a bitch.
Otherwise, she would have made it. But that was a long evening. I don't think I was at home when it happened, obviously, and it was right around 5 o'clock, and news flashed on TV, just showed that it dropped. I started grabbing my gear and getting ready to go because I knew that page was coming.
Right.
So that was a pretty traumatic evening, but I think the house fires and seeing people get hurt, especially kids in cars from car accidents.
Sure.
You know, I'm not going to get into the gore of it, but I've seen too much.
Yeah.
You know, over all these years, I've seen way too much.
I brought it up, and I appreciate you sharing a little bit, man, because I think it's an important part that probably keeps a lot of people out of joining up with these like local municipal groups for the fear of just that. Whether it's not wanting to see it or not knowing how you'd react to it. I've mentioned on the podcast before, I think, I witnessed 1 murder in my life. I was never in the military. I saw 1, and it changed me forever. And since I know that you've seen some things, I'm not trying to be dark or anything, young fella. Obviously, there's got to be some benefit there, but how does somebody know if they're going to be able to handle it without going out and trying to handle it?
That's the only way they're going to know, is to actually get your feet in the water. And it's not for everybody. Me, I'm an adrenaline junkie. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I hate seeing the chaos that happens, but to me, it was always adrenaline rush. I enjoyed every moment of it. If I could be the first one in the house with a hose, I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
But later on in my career, I'm the guy that's standing back now, directing the traffic.
Yeah.
So it kind of takes you away from the hands-on of it.
Right.
Yeah, there's certainly going to be different portions, especially as you move up in the ranks, where you're more in control and less actively involved. It's
right,
just like construction. As you go on, you're going to carry the tools more and direct the troops more.
Yeah,
Or I should say tools less, troops more.
Tools less, troops more. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, the day that you realize that you became important, usually the day that you're just like, I just want to stay at home.
Well, you know, with the fire industry, it's chaos, right? That's what they call it, chaos.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when I show up on scene, because chaos does mean chief has arrived on scene.
Right. Which isn't always...
Chaos is here.
Right. Which isn't always required, right?
Right.
Sometimes somebody at a lesser rank could be able to take this car fire or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Yeah, everybody is trained to take over anybody's job.
Right. And I mean, obviously, we got great feedback from your last episode, buddy, and we're so happy that you're here again. We wanted you to get into this because we had noticed so many similarities between construction losing people coming into the trade. So average age, do you know what I mean? Where we're just not getting people coming into these sort of jobs anymore. And firefighting is so important. EMS is so important. The most recent demographic was from last April in 2024. And this is from Zippia. So they do a lot of stuff through the fire department and policing and things like that. The average age of a firefighter is 48 years old in the United States. That is ridiculously too high.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's clearly a real similar problem of, I couldn't find the statistics on how many people are coming in versus retiring, but we've talked at 7-1 in the construction industry, and I bet you it's worse than that in firefighting right now.
It's hard to retain.
It certainly is. Certainly hard to retain because, I mean, we just talked. Some people will come in. There's attrition that happens in any industry, right? But in inherently dangerous industries, it's going to be more.
Right.
Certainly true. And you're going to see things that most people are just never, ever going to see. I am trying to keep this not dark today, folks, but with the public service announcement at the start, we warned you there's going to be a bit of darkness here today. So bear with us.
Right.
But these are important things. I know in the broad strokes what the construction industry is doing to try to recruit and retain. At the end of your career, when you were still a lieutenant with Hastings, what sort of things were being done, or things maybe they're still doing to try to recruit, or what you think would be an important thing could be offered to younger people to see this as a viable, whether volunteer basis, on call, or actual career path? I know it's a big question, man. I'm sorry.
That took a lot.
I know it's
that's an open-ended question.
Yes.
One of the things is the demand of it. That's what inhibits a lot of people from getting involved on a fire department, because there is so much time required. Once they're trained up and are actually a firefighter and EMS now they have to give up so much time to be available. It used to be, well, I'll just check out when I want to check out. Now they have to give up weekends. Some have, do shifts on the weekends for the fire departments. So it's not like they can just plan ahead and say, I don't want to do this time. They have to commit their time to it. And that's a hard thing for a lot of people to do, especially in that kind of industry. Sure, there's a lot of chair time. You might not get a call all day, but they're thinking, well, I could be doing something else.
Right.
And I mean, the not knowing is the worst.
Right.
Sitting around waiting for all hell to break loose, possibly. There's got to be some mental aspect to it there, too, of people who can handle that part of the job.
Right.
Yeah.
And, we have recruitment programs. We got programs where we bring younger people in that can't even be a firefighter yet because they're not of age.
What is that age? I'm sure it varies, but is it?
Well, the ones that we bring in that are younger kids?
Yeah.
Oh, anywhere from 12 to 15,
No,
16.
but what's the minimum age, let's just say for your firehouse? Like,
to be a firefighter?
Yeah.
18.
It's 18 usually, okay.
Yeah.
That's probably pretty common, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, buddy, continue.
But, so that's kind of a recruitment tool to bring them in early and show them the stuff. And, that's what gets them excited. And Hastings just had a swearing in ceremony this last fall. And I think they hired, paid on call, I think it was like 14 of them.
Wow, that's impressive.
That's great, yeah.
And I used to know all the people down in Hastings. I still stop there all the time.
Yeah.
BS with the guys. And I couldn't tell you about half a dozen of their names anymore.
Well, that happens, right?
Right.
That happens. So do you think, on that same note of people getting in and the dire need that we're facing with firefighters and EMS and stuff like that, is there a possibility that a lot of it is due to the fact of it's mostly volunteer positions with most firehouses? And I only say that because we have, in the U.S., the latest number is there's 29,000 different fire departments across the country, right? And 19,000 of them are solely volunteer.
Right.
That's over half, right?
Right.
So do you think it's just the fact of people they love to be able to volunteer as a firefighter, but yet they have to work so much these days because things are so fucking expensive?
It's a second job.
It's a second job.
Yes.
And nobody wants to do a second fucking job because they're burnt out from their first one.
And a lot of these departments, even Hastings, at some point in time in the future, there will be no more paid on call. There will be no more guys like me.
Right.
It's all going to be full time.
Which is a damn shame, because the importance of the fire to fire. I've never understood a volunteer firefighter, right? Cops aren't volunteer.
No.
Paramedics aren't volunteer. But now the EMS on firefighters, a lot of them are volunteer.
Right.
Right? So, like, helicopter paramedics are not volunteer. Stuff like that. It's unfortunate that we're faced with this situation of why is it that this extremely important part of public safety,
where somebody is willing to volunteer their time.
Right. Why volunteer? Why make it solely volunteer at that point?
There's very few departments any longer out there that are strictly volunteer. That's why we call it paid on call. Every time I'm there doing something, they're paying us for it. There are some small towns out there that are voluntary.
Right.
They don't get nothing. Well, hell, I get a pension out of it when I'm done.
It's something I was going to bring it up in a little while. Don't worry, we're going to get to that. So I found a number for just what you were talking about, John, from usfireassociation.fema.gov. Oh, sorry about the .gov.
Oh, fucking FEMA.
And FEMA, but it's what I found.
Right.
What I found for mostly career, so people who are firefighters, it was 5.1% of the total. Volunteer fell into 69.8. Let's call that 70% were volunteer. That's U.S. wide as of April 2023.
Sure.
That's a tiny number of people who are career firefighters anymore in the United States.
Absolutely.
If that's the concern that they have, I shouldn't say the concern, if that's a consensus between fire departments to go mostly paid on call, I realize there's a distinction there between volunteer and paid on call, right?
Right.
But in the vernacular we're using here, I was considering paid on call as volunteer because you weren't full-time, even part-time members of the fire department. So,
Right.
I mean, if that's the way they're going, how do they ever expect to fill jobs for people who already have other careers, probably?
Good question.
Someone who has experience is why we asked. We're out of the loop, John and I here. That's why we wanted to have you in today. It seems it seemed so mirrored to what we're dealing with in the construction industry that we had to talk to you about it.
Right.
Most of the guys that are volunteer, let's use that word,
Right.
volunteer, they start out as a volunteer, but they're driven to get a full-time position,
Certainly.
and they go above and beyond. A lot of departments, you have to be a paramedic to be a firefighter full-time. So a lot of them go to school on their own dime and time just to get that degree, get that education. It gives them a leg up when the hiring process comes around.
Makes sense.
There's not a shortage of people when a position becomes open. There's not a shortage of candidates for full-time firefighters.
Sure.
There's plenty of them. They come from different towns. We've had people as far as California come here interviewing.
Well, that I can understand. I mean, nobody wants to live in California. Fuck.
Not anymore.
At least you'd be busy.
Right.
All right, so it finally came up. Let's take a quick side tangent here. As of the time of this recording, the LA fires are raging.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
You see that on the news. I'm sure it's been coming up on all your media and stuff, buddy. Give us your opinion on how this is going and how it's being handled as somebody with experience, because it looks to us like it's in shambles.
Well, it's a shit show, but I commend everybody out there fighting the fires.
Oh, certainly, yeah.
One thing that's a disadvantage to them, and they're never going to win this game, is because of the wind.
Right.
Yeah, I think they said it was 40 miles an hour sort of sustained.
Yes,
Like,
Yeah.
yes.
Gusts up to 100.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, the politics that they're tossing into there, keep that shit in the back room for now.
Right.
Deal with the problem.
God, isn't it? Everything, though, is wrapped up in politics anymore.
It's silly.
Right.
It's just silly. But no, those, I commend them. Wildland fires are the worst.
Yeah.
I've been on what we call wildland fires in our town here. They're never fun. They tax you.
Right.
I mean, you're busted your balls out there.
You're moving.
Yeah, that's the thing. It seemed to be something that could just spread and change. It was such a dynamic situation that I was curious your professional perspective, because I'm looking at it on TV going, where do you even start?
Right.
Well, where they neglected to start was clearing all that underbrush and making fire breaks.
Right.
Because they're too worried about everything else.
Well,
Tree hugger style.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. So,
Right.
yeah, that seems to be the consensus on why those things weren't done, because they're trying to tell us, well, it's an environmental impact. There's species there, like, okay, but also all those homes are going to burn down. So
Right.
what are we doing here?
And who's got the insurance for them now?
Well, listen, man, I'm going to say this right now, even if it brings, look, I'm going to be the one to say it, John, even if it brings me heat somehow from the powers that be here. There's been a lot of talk in the media about State Farm specifically.
Right.
At one point or another, nobody knows exactly when or why, I'm sure it'll come out, canceling people's fire insurance who are now directly affected by what's going on. And then to find out, since they can't have the playoff football game there. They're now moving it to Arizona.
Yeah, right.
Arizona is State Farm sponsored arena.
Wow.
It is State Farm's arena.
They canceled people's insurance policies, and now they're making more money in both advertising and location because of it. It's really fucked up.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why I didn't tell you earlier. I'm like, I want you to be surprised. That's a real shitty area.
Yeah, that's a real kick in the dick.
Well, you know, what really sucks is, you know, the hurricanes down south, the fire out in California. You guys know this as well. Your insurance rates are going through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah, my recent bill, I actually called the guy, and I'm like, hey, you mind telling me why this just doubled?
When nothing changed.
Exactly.
my guy that I have that does my insurance, right? He's got about 14 different places he can get insurance. He called me up here about a month ago and said, hey, the insurance company that you have, we have to shift you somewhere else because they moved out of the state of Minnesota.
No.
So I'm like, well, okay, now what?
They packed ship, huh?
So
Jeez.
they got me in different insurance, and it's similar but not the same. And the price obviously went up.
Right.
What are you going to do? They got you by the short hairs, you know.
You got to have the insurance.
You have to have, we're forced to have insurance,
Right.
right?
Which
Just like power companies.
I wish
Charge
I had.
you whatever
I
you
wish
want.
I had looked it up because years ago when I was in finance and I worked at the bank, if you put down $1 million investment of some kind, a certificate deposit, something that was zero risk, you know, you could use that in place of paying a monthly, annually insurance policy in Canada, where I was from.
Really?
I don't know if they do the same thing here, but it's just one more occasion of, well, if you're rich, you don't have to do that.
Right.
Right. There was no tax on that. They were already making that investment. They just had to let it sit there and say if something went wrong, the insurance company could take money out of it. It was one of the long list of many reasons I was happy to be out of finance.
Oh,
It's a slimy business, insurance, finance. Like,
There's a lot of people around in our country that don't carry insurance because they have enough money to cover whatever happens, right?
or the people who don't carry insurance because they can't afford it.
Right.
Well, that's true too.
So,
Right. Unfortunately, there's lots of them too.
well, that's it. So, move on to something a little more positive here, man.
Oh, I got something.
Yeah, go.
Hang on.
Oh,
Hang
that's
on a
right.
second.
Oh, yeah, we almost forgot. I got a note, so I won't forget where I was at. John's all
Positivity.
John's all hopped up. Oh,
You bitch and moan at me.
Ooh, I did complain about this, folks. John's making good.
So I've been doing some baking, but these are from the wife.
Okay.
She made these last night because we had a surplus of oatmeal.
I
These
see,
are
oats.
oatmeal lace cookies.
Oatmeal lace or laced?
Lace.
Oh, okay.
Lace.
There's no
And
D at the end. I just
these
want to
are
be
to
clear.
share
Okay.
because Jason yells at me because I haven't brought him any baked goods that
Okay.
we've been
First of
baking.
all, I complained about it one fucking time
on air.
on air. Oh, yeah, on air. Everything's fucking on air. Are you kidding me? Dude, the second we started this, our lives were on air.
Mm-hmm.
Just wait until we make money maybe someday, folks. You're going to be amazed about the things we talk about.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I'm going to have to hold on to that one. Not eat it really.
Oh,
Not eat
that's
it
a
while
pretty
we're
good cookie.
live here.
Thanks, man.
They're fucking amazing.
That's a pretty good
They're
cookie.
addicting as shit.
Also, I got venison for you before you go, buddy.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that because
Oh, those are real good, man. Thank you. Thanks to you, and thanks to your wife. Oh, there it is. Somebody thought I had.
Oh,
Very good.
I knew
Put
we were
some
having
sticks.
crispy on. I know you do actually enjoy a deer stick.
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah, they turned out
There
good.
is
Yeah, they turned out
Anything
good this
wild
year.
is good.
Yep. There is our deer sticks that we can munch on too while we're talking about.
So no, that's a good side tangent, man. But I also had one here. So we've talked about some of the work side of it, and we'll go back to some stories here in a little while. But the benefits that you get from being a part of this, even if it is a paid on call situation, you don't have to give us specifics about your firehouse or anything. But in general, everybody says you can get like a good pension. There's good benefits as you go. Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the paid on call is a little bit different than the full-time guys. We're under different aspects. So we have what we call relief association, and the full-timers are part of that as well. We don't get the state retirement that they do. Ours is subsidized by the city, but it's a pension that we control. So we have a person that's watching out for our money, and every time we want to bump up a raise for, I don't even know what it is anymore now for the guys, but it's pretty substantial. And when I left, I believe there was like $1.4 million in it. And we have maybe 40 people involved in it.
Good number, good ratio.
So as we bump that up, the pensions right now are astronomical for the guys, especially if they got 20 years in.
Yeah, that's good.
They're going to walk away with a couple $100,000 potentially.
That's the way it should be after putting all the years of trying to protect people's property and injuries and lives. So that's great.
And you know, and being a firefighter too, you go across so many different gamuts, right? You learn so many different things, and it helps you in your life. You know, there's things that I've learned in the fire department that I would never gained anywhere else.
Right.
When you see it in every single movie and TV show that has anything to do with it, the fire department is always portrayed as a real tight-knit family. And I understand why, don't get me wrong. But yeah, you see that really clearly. I've never seen any example that wasn't that way in any story, media, entertainment ever.
It's your second family.
Right. Yeah.
You spend just as much time with them as you do at home with your family.
Let's talk about trauma bonding for a fucking hot minute.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's like...
You know, I like I said, I didn't want to get into the gore shit, but I got to tell you one story.
Lay it on us. Yeah, lay it on us.
I had just become a firefighter in Hastings, got through all my training, and this was probably one of our 5th calls I'd ever been on. So it was a road grader versus pedestrian.
Ooh.
Oh, God.
So, for you don't know what a road grader is, folks, think the summertime snowplow out on the curb of the road, the side of the road. Yep.
So, and it's summertime, and it's in a very small town near Hastings. And we get this call, and he had a packer on the back. I don't know if people know what a packer is, but it's got like 8 wheels in front, 8 wheels in back, and it's full of dirt to compact the ground. Well, this guy was heading through town, and his blade was up as high as it could go. And an elderly gentleman, his wife worked at the church as an assistant over there doing paperwork. So every morning he'd go for his walk, and then he'd go to the church to pick her up. He never even looked and walked out in the middle of the road, and that road grader hit him. Oof. And he made it underneath the road grader. He made it underneath the first part of the packer. And his legs were on the ground. That's all we could see. We had to get a tow truck. They put a chair outside that church where his wife worked. And she was sitting there watching us. The chief at the time had a bunch of people get tarps, holding them up. Mm-hmm. Tow truck picks up the back end of that packer, and we commenced to pull him out. What's really left of him? And then we're picking up chunks and pieces on the road, throwing them in the bags. And then we ended up washing all that redness down to the gravel road. And that's one that every time I drive by there, it never ceases to amaze me. It's like it happened yesterday. That is some of the devastating things that you get to see as a firefighter. And it's like people in war. When they come back from war, they don't talk about it to their family or anybody. I don't like talking about those stories to my family or really anybody else, but it comes up.
I've known you for a real long time, and that's only the second time we ever heard that story. And the other time was a very, very good moment between you and I out of town traveling one time. So, yes, I understand where you're coming from, buddy. I realize that stuff's hard to talk about. We do appreciate you sharing, man.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, your listeners, they don't want to hear the gore, I don't think. Maybe some of them do. I don't know.
There's a lot of them that are just as fucked up as
all of us. Yeah. And I mean, what you're saying made a lot of sense because I've mentioned before, I always had an appreciation is the wrong word, but a basic understanding of the men and women who go to war and come back and have real life PTSD from the things they've done and seen and whatever, right? But after I saw that gentleman killed in the middle of the day, I had an understanding, and that was once that I saw that. And to your point, I will not take calls in that area when they call me. I know the streets and locations that are close around that. Right. I learned them so that when they call, hey, can you take this? Nope, I'm not going over there. I don't want to go near that area either.
Right.
If I never see that place again, I'll be a happy, happy man.
Right. And, you know, suicides too. I've been to hangings. I've been gunshot to the head. Yeah, we could sit here all day long talking gore.
This is just we don't have to do that. This is just a reminder to people that there is a real side to this career that you got to be prepared for.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we don't want to dig too deep there.
No. I mean, hey, I'm 62 now, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I still got my scruples about me.
Oh,
I'm
we
not,
don't want to put it on you or the guests to have to go through any of this.
Right.
We get what you're saying, buddy. Yeah.
So, how many times did you experience something in the fire department that you like went home? And I'm only thinking of one specific thing. You own a turkey fryer, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we talked about this. Go ahead, buddy. Yeah.
Why? Why would you fucking own one?
You ought to know better. That's what we were getting at, basically. Yeah. It seems to us you ought to have known better.
And I even fire that up in my garage.
That's what I'm saying. I know you do. What the fuck?
I'm on my 30th some bird by now.
Right.
I got it down to a science.
Right.
But it'd be really embarrassing if I had to call the fire department because I started my garage on fire with a damn turkey fryer.
I would laugh.
I think the guys would sit there and watch it burn for a while and just point their fingers at me like, you dumbass.
You knew better.
Yeah, I know better. That's right. Yeah, I don't remember the exact statistics. We went through it on our Thanksgiving episode, but the amount of people that were burning their houses down around Thanksgiving with deep fryers was a lot. Like, it was a big number.
It's a lot. Yeah. That's like 900 a year or something.
And see here, so this is a statistic I just had, actually, I was going to bring up. From 2013 until 2022, the amount of annual fires have gone up from 1.24 to 1.5 million. That's a
lot.
That's 300,000 in a year.
Dude, I'm telling you, like even in my house, I'm pretty conscious about what's happening in my house, right? I've looked at my oldest daughter, and she's college age. She's graduating this year. We've talked about that, but I looked at her flat out. I'm like, you're not allowed to have fucking candles downstairs anymore. And just leave them fucking burning.
Well,
I can't.
think about everything in a house. 99% of it is flammable.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah. You could almost say 100%. Like,
Yeah.
just about anything. You get it hot enough, it'll burn in the house, right?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, listen, the candle thing, man. Anybody listen right now, if you're, with respect, male, you're probably nodding your head because candles aren't quite as big a thing with dudes most of the time. How many times mine has had a candle burning and gone off to the bathroom for a few minutes? 6 inches away from a box of Kleenex.
Yeah.
It drives me out of my fucking mind. Like, but it's not intentional. It's not malicious. Just don't think about it. Now, how many of those fires are caused? So, as an example, 300,000 a year is nearly 875 more a day. Just off the top of my head. My math ain't perfect, but it's pretty close. Like, yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So all the more reason we need as many new firefighters as we can get.
There's a demand for them, that's for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's a demand for firefighters and EMS and paramedics. And, I mean, cops.
You know,
everything.
And
first responders all around.
And your whole premise with your podcast here is the trades.
Loosely it is.
That is definitely a trade.
Oh, sure.
You know,
it definitely is.
Yeah.
That's something you don't need to go to college for. You don't need to spend an exuberant amount of money on it, but you can, very limited amount of money, get a good career in firefighting, and it don't cost you nothing.
Right.
That's, again, that was a big antithesis. We were going to have you back on for no matter what, but we saw the parallels between firefighting, first responders, and construction. John made a great point earlier that cops don't have to do it, like, right? There's so much of the not career path firefighters that can be out there. So,
for sure.
Yeah, it's a real distinction that makes it so much closer to construction that we had to have you on and talk about it for a while.
Everybody loves a firefighter. I tell you what,
unless you're a cop, I think. Isn't that how that works?
Softball games, right?
Well, we have our differences.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
We definitely have
there's going to be smack talk.
You know, I always used to look at it as every time there was a police officer would show up.
Right.
And I kept wondering, why the hell they always show up? I said, if somebody's robbing a bank, I don't go to the bank with you as a firefighter.
Right.
That's true.
But there is definitely a need for the police to be on scene because things can go south real quick, especially when you're dealing with people.
I suppose, yeah, people getting freaked out. My
Right.
dog is in there, save my piano. Yeah, I can see people getting a little spun up. It's emotional situation. There's no doubt
absolutely.
about it, right? Yeah.
Right.
But at the same time, in your, what I had written down here is nearly, if not more than 48 years experience. How many times do the cops need to get involved?
Maybe a handful.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I
Maybe a
figured.
handful.
Yeah.
Count them on one hand.
Once a decade,
Probably.
maybe. Yeah, okay. That's what I figured. I figured, even though I understand the reason for it, it seems sort of unnecessary.
They're more there for controlling traffic instead of.
Right.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, we have a great working relationship with the police.
All right.
We really, really do.
You kind of have to.
Right.
Right.
And, back in the day, well, once a year we'd go out to the shooting range. I believe the firefighters kicked their ass on shooting targets.
And there's the dig.
Yeah, you
There's
had
the
to
deep dig.
Yeah, there was going to be at least one we got.
Here's
right?
another dig I have to throw in there. This was many, many years ago. I was laying in bed, summer night, windows open, right? And I'm hearing the siren. It's running all around town. And all of a sudden, it's downtown on 4th and 61. And I'm only 6, 8 blocks from there. And all of a sudden I hear pop, 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 pop. And I can still hear those gunshots, 5 of them. Well, the car that they finally stopped, the guy got out with a gun in his hand and shot once towards the cops. 2 officers shot 4 rounds at him. My pager goes off instantly.
Yeah.
We got to take this guy to the hospital.
Yeah, roll EMS, sure, yeah.
I ain't even going to say which cops it was, but you know where they hit him? They hit him once in the arm and once in the lower leg. And it's damn near point blank distance.
I was going to ask you how far away.
And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, not too good at shooting there, buddy. But the anxiety is way up there.
Yeah, I was about to say, let's talk about what that does, adrenaline rush
Yeah.
to your body.
Yeah.
And I mean, hunters can.
Are we going
attest
to talk about that?
Sure.
I haven't. I was never going to bring it up. Are you bringing it up?
I'll bring it up. So what adrenaline does, hunters can attest to this, especially buck fever, right?
Right.
So your adrenaline goes up, your heart rate goes up, your breathing goes up.
Absolutely.
And I don't know if I'd be able to hit anything if somebody was shooting at me. I probably couldn't shoot them either.
They're constantly practicing and they're trained center mass.
Right.
And if you got 15 feet between you,
Hey man, I shoot really good at the range too.
right.
And then I pop off 4 rounds at a buck while he just stands there, stares at me, and then turns around and walks away.
And that's not figurative, folks.
That literally happened.
That
this year.
happened opening morning of rifle season this year for venison. So
Opening weekend. It was the second day.
oh, sorry, my fault. Yes, opening weekend. Pardon me. It's a really important detail. Thanks, man.
Yes, that happened. I mean, so.
Oh yeah, I get it.
I pump out groups, quarters at the target range.
Yep.
And I spend 1 round a year, but hey, we all got to get our digs in here today.
get
So what
fucked.
are you gonna do? So off topic, man. Speaking of hunting, you've been involved for a while now and had a lot of success in hog hunting down south.
Love it.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that, because I've always been real interested. It sounds like fun. One of the guys that works in my shop actually is involved. So,
Yes, he is. He's out now, but I think this year we go every year in March, second week of March. And the guy that started it, he's another refinery operator from Flint Hills.
Nice.
He's retired now too, but he's been doing it. I think this will be his 19th or 20th year.
That's a lot.
Good Lord.
That's commitment.
And I think this will be my 9th or 10th year. And we go down to Oklahoma every year. And it's a wild boar hunt. And we got a group of 6 guys, 5 to 6 to 7 guys that go to every year. And it's just a blast. And it's a good knit, good group guys that we go with. We all gel together really well. And we're allowed to kill 2 of them. So we, on an average, bring back 10 to 12, 14 hogs.
Good Lord, that is a lot of pig.
It's a lot of pig. And, and people say, well, you're out there in the no, it's a farm.
Right.
Okay? It's roughly 300 acres fenced in. And the guy that runs it now, he's kind of the broker for all these wild boars, so he brings in the best ones.
Sure.
And he has an average of 120 to 170 boar hogs on his property. And it's not like shooting fish in a barrel. Anybody who thinks it's shooting fish in a barrel, they're nuts. And we don't do it with guns. We're out there as bow hunters.
Wow.
It's so exciting.
That is crazy.
You got elevated stands, you got ground blinds, you can go stalk, hunt, you can do whatever you want. But
Look, I like hunting, but I am not going to be on the ground with a wild boar.
you know, it's
Good shot. Good
With
shot
an
with the
arrow.
bow. Good shot with the bow. Less drop, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be on the ground stalking a wild. Look,
those
those fuckers can run.
and they got
They got tusks.
They got the
and
tusks that
they're
will hurt you.
aggressive as shit.
Yep. Yeah, you get in between them and something, and they'll come after you.
Yeah.
But we usually only hunt in the afternoon because we're a bunch of drunks. We stay up all night drinking, and we don't go out for the morning hunt unless it's like the second to the last day, and I don't have both my hogs.
Right.
But when we're out there, we're out there till dark. And if you didn't shoot a hog, you're walking back to camp. So we're on the trails, and everybody's got their headlamp lights and their flashlights, and I like getting acclimated to the darkness, so I don't even turn a damn light on. So
The same way, buddy.
when I'm walking through the dark woods, you'll hear one of those beasts, might be 8 feet away from you, and they sound like a dog. They growl like, "Rrrr." And that makes the hair on your neck
I
stand
bet
up.
it does. Yeah.
And that's when you turn that flashlight on. It's always in my hand, but
Yeah. Just in case.
yeah.
No, that's good. Yeah, I want to bring that up because I know you're always excited about that every year.
Oh
and
yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah, coming up. Yeah, and we've talked before the importance of having hobbies in this job because our day to day can be kind of repetitive sometimes, and you got to have something to look forward to. So
Absolutely.
yeah, we always try
For
to bring
sure.
them up. Yeah.
And that's, dude, Jason likes to say, oh, I like to acclimate to the dark. Bullshit. His eyes are so shut they don't dilate right. He can see just fine like a fucking owl.
So that's why I say I don't mind. Yeah, it's true. My pupils don't dilate properly, folks. I don't know. It's some weird medical thing. So as a kid, I could basically see in the dark like a goddamn superhero. It's really weird. Although the last 6 weeks, I can't see little print in restaurants in slightly dark weather or slightly dark lighting.
Sucks getting old, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it sucks.
Yeah,
getting
that's
old.
the
Yeah.
age thing. That's
Yep. It is so funny because we were out hunting and I'm coming up the trail right at night and I've got my headlamp on and I'm lighting things up because this is the first time me being on the property, right? And
That is why I waited for you.
he's just standing out there, just hanging out. And he's all like, oh yeah, I forget you guys actually have to use headlights. I'm like, fuck you.
It does weird people out sometimes. I'll stand in a completely dark room, have a conversation, looking at prints, and look at me like, "You can see that?" I'm like, "You can't see that?" Oh yeah, that's right. I forget. I'm a fucking freak of nature or something. Oh, that's good stuff. So, I would say the stuff we've talked about so far, Crispy, and take your time as you make a drink here, buddy.
absolutely. Who says I'm making a drink?
Yeah, well, they're going to hear it.
Jason just had to yell at me because I was eating too close to the microphone.
Yeah,
They're going to hear that.
Yeah, ice and glasses show up really great on audio.
It's water.
So you've seen, there's a lot of water. They melt pretty fast. All the times we've had people in, and I still haven't got like an ice bucket here. You've obviously been involved in helping to recruit and training lots of new people over the years. You've got almost 48 or over 48 in here. Give us do you have a fun story of training gone wrong or somebody who was just not getting it? Like something from the days of trying to teach, because the same way we have to teach our apprentices. I'm just trying to get an idea of what it was like for you over the years. Like something must stick out.
Well, yeah. Everybody wants to be the best that they can be in what they're doing, right?
You would hope, sure.
As a firefighter.
Yeah.
And every year, the biggest problem I had with a lot of these guys, they would just volunteer, right? Well, they're driving damn near $1 million vehicles. And they run into shit all the time. So every year, one of my training dates, I set out a course down at the park. It's got a big-ass parking lot. So I set up the cones. I make them drive through the cones and make them go backwards through the cones. And Some of them think they're really good at it. So I told them one year, I said, I'll tell you what, I'll let all of you race through those cones. We'll time it. And if you think you got a good time, I will do it, and I guarantee I'm going to beat your time. Well, I'll take that bet. I said, well, what's the bet? I said, well, you know what? How about after work, we go down to the bar. Whoever loses buys drinks the rest of the evening. Oh, you're on. And I said, if you hit a cone, knock a cone over, that adds 10 seconds to your time. I think the best time they had was 45, 48 seconds. I still beat them by about 10 seconds.
Attaboy.
And didn't hit a damn cone.
Attaboy.
That's funny.
So that's what drives these guys to even be better.
Right.
Because they want to be the best, you know. Training guys, I would say the ones that just don't get it, they don't last.
They're weeded out pretty fast, right?
We weed them. You don't want somebody that you can't depend on to do the job if they're not going to be able to execute.
Right.
So when people's lives are on the line, you want the best. We've weeded out tons of them over the years, whether it be municipal or industrial. If they don't cut it, they don't cut it. I'm sorry. Because this job, you need to be the best.
How many guys come into it just to have that accolade of, I'm a firefighter? Blah, blah, blah.
Well, I would say on the industrial side, a lot of them join up because it's damn good money. I get all this overtime, time and a half. Anytime I show up, it's time and a half. Whether it's
Benefits will always be a factor, sure.
right. So I guess, we weeded out quite a few up there.
Yeah.
You know, and I hate to see anybody. I hate to look somebody in the eyes and say, you know, you just ain't cutting it here, dude. I'm sorry, but thanks, but no thanks. But you got to give them a shot. You got to give everybody a decent, fair shot in this world.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Give them the fair shake, right?
Yeah, that's right. So in this world of equal opportunity and DEI, at the risk of spinning you up here, buddy, how did that over the years, did it grow? Did it become, you had to have a certain amount of diversity?
Not at that refinery.
Not at the refinery, okay.
There's none of that out there.
So just merit-based.
Merit-based.
Okay.
And now you get into the municipal side of it. Yeah, that's a big part of it. They have even taken the agility test to pass to be a firefighter and made it so easy that probably a 12-year-old girl could pass it. And that's sad. You know, and I'm not saying there are a lot of damn good women on the fire department,
Absolutely,
but they have made the testing so easy now and so inclusive. We use that word.
A lot of us do.
And it shouldn't be that way. It should be the same test that was given out 20 years ago to those people. And it wasn't easy,
Right.
you know?
Nor should it be,
No.
really. Yeah, I asked because as I went through my career with electrical, I had to take a physical when I got in the union. And then this would have been, let's say, 10 years later. I'm talking to a lady on a job site who is an older electrician. I'm glad she made it in. Everything was all good. And she had trouble lifting up a box one particular day. And I've had plenty of female apprentices and journey people who were fantastic. I'm not bagging on women here, but this particular woman couldn't lift what I would consider a fairly light box, less than 25 pounds. And I'm like, well, you definitely have to be able to do that because you had to lift 40 for your physical. And she looked at me and said, what physical? And then I realized things were really changing. So that's why I was just kind of curious to get your...
Would she be able to get that ladder off your truck?
Yes, she was a taller lady. She just, yes. The boys were teasing me earlier because my work truck is kind of tall, and I must admit I got to tippy toe a little bit to get one of the big ladders off there, and I feel like an infant every time I do it.
Oh, shit.
I wasn't going there. I was just
No, listen.
physically able.
Yeah, no.
The
if we had-
weight
Not,
of the ladder.
not
Yeah, the
height
weight of the
challenge,
ladder, yeah.
challenge here.
Yeah, well, I am height challenged, but that ladder is, they're tricky to get off that new vehicle, that's for sure. Somebody joked with me one time that I need a step ladder to get my ladders.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll be nothing if honest on this podcast. No sense in lying to myself or others. So tell me this: if everything we talked about here today, all the experience you got, my friend, if we were trying to sell, if we had a 19-year-old person sitting right here with us today, what do you want to tell them to get them to strongly consider a career or even a paid on-call within the fire department or EMS?
What would I tell that kid this day? I guess the billboard would pretty much show a burning building and surrounded by fire trucks and one person looking back outside of that saying, come here. I guarantee you, every kid wants to be a firefighter at some point in his life. But to get them to actually go do it, I don't know how I'd sell that anymore. I really don't. I mean, there's good, there's bad, there's ugly. But you're like a superhero. You really are. People look up to you. Every person I know in this world looks up to a firefighter. Everyone
right.
does. So that's a driving factor there.
Is that just because they're in a burning building with smoke and they're laying on the floor? Just saying.
Everybody looks good in uniform.
Everybody looks good in uniform.
What they do is important, but everybody looks good in uniform. And that don't just mean the nice dress blues. That could be all the gear and the air tank and everything too, right? Yeah.
Even our hunting clothes. That's a nice uniform.
Absolutely it is, yeah.
Sorry, I just did. So on that, with that, those are good fucking cookies, right?
Yeah,
Chrissy
those are
finally
just
just ate it.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. He
I didn't
just
wanna
needed
get
a
it
break.
crunching over
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
It's free for all here.
Yeah.
Fuck it, we're drinking.
Yeah, we're all drinking. Yes, and again, gentlemen, cheers. So
Cheers.
happy to be here with all of you today. This is fantastic. Thanks everybody for listening.
Thanks for having me back.
Oh, I know. We're happy you're here, sir.
So if you were, just a broad mass thing out to the masses with the homeowners and shit like that, what would you tell a homeowner? I can't fucking talk.
If you want to take 5 seconds, one deep breath in, one deep breath out, calm down a hair. You're really charged up.
I've been charged up all morning.
I know.
don't even know why.
Keep going. It's all right,
Anyway, what would you tell homeowners out there what not to do as a firefighter?
If you give them one piece of advice,
What not to do as a firefighter.
Just to make fire. Yeah.
what piece of advice would have saved you the most calls over the years?
Oh,
Yeah, put you on the spot, huh?
stove fires.
Stove fires, okay.
Okay.
Stove fires. The stupid things people do on a stove. And
Gotcha.
they cause a lot of fire. And dryer fires is probably second. But what not to do, if you're going to be in the kitchen cooking, stay in the kitchen and cook.
Nah.
Don't walk away.
I'm guilty of that.
So I brought it up in advance. I didn't want to skew Crispy's answer here. I brought up the top 5 reasons for fires in the United States in the last 5 years. This is from the National Fire Institute. Number 1 at 27.6%, cooking.
Yeah.
Professional knew exactly what it was. And then going down the list, it goes real quickly to 14.5 with intentional fires.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
pyromaniacs out there.
Yeah, 12.8 unintentional, just careless use of whatever. 6.2 obviously electrical, and at 6.2 as well heating. So
Yeah,
right.
let's call them the same thing. But yeah, cooking came in number 1. A quarter of every fires, a little more, was always cooking.
So the takeaway is,
Yeah.
stay by your goddamn stove, fuckers.
Let me ask a question of both of you.
Please.
Okay. Every household should have at least one fire extinguisher in it, right?
Yep.
Mhm.
If you have multiple fire extinguishers in your house, where would you put them?
One on each level.
Okay, be more specific.
Oh, mine is under. I only have one, but it's underneath the kitchen sink,
Underneath
right
the
next to the
kitchen
stove.
sink. Okay.
Okay, I have 2. I have one at the very bottom of my stairs here in a central location that I could get at to both my furnace and my washer and dryer if I needed to.
Yep.
And then I have one upstairs in the hallway closet that's away from a potential fire that could start in the kitchen, so I could get it without reaching underneath the fire. Not to call you out there, buddy, but
Mine's next to, not under.
Most fires happen in the evening. They really do. Okay. Now, if you have multiple fire extinguishers in your house, the best place, one is always in the kitchen area, HVAC area. But you know where people don't have a fire extinguisher and they should have one?
Bathroom.
garage.
Underneath their bed. If you have to fight your way to get the
fuck.
hell out of your house, having a fire extinguisher underneath your bed is the best place for one.
I never fucking thought of that.
Never dawned on me in a million years.
God damn it, I'm buying another one.
If you
Tomorrow, yeah.
you know, like my house, I live on the upper floor.
Right.
That's my bedroom. If the fire started downstairs and I didn't, well, I got plenty of alarms and smoke detectors and all
Right.
that shit, but smoke rises.
Right.
If I had to get downstairs, I'd have to go out the window.
Right.
But to fight your way out of a fire, you should have a fire extinguisher under your bed.
Hot damn, I never thought of that. That is great advice, actually. That's probably the best fucking fire advice that I've
This
ever
whole
seen.
hour and a half was totally worth that one piece of advice.
Yeah.
You can run down a burning hallway with a fire extinguisher moving and get out of there,
Yeah.
probably without hurting yourself.
Yep.
I'm going to go ahead and say under every bed in the house.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, man, I'm down. That's what a great advice, man.
God damn. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Tidbit for people out there, go buy some fire extinguishers.
I've fucking known you for how many years? You couldn't have shared that piece of advice 10 years ago?
Oh, I guess we never thought to ask before now.
Right.
John.
For some reason, that just dawned on me, but
No, it's perfect. That's what we wanted, was things to dawn on you.
Yeah.
That's, man, what a good question. I had one more, but I'm kind of tempted just to leave it at that because it ended so well. You know what? We're going to have Crispy back. I'm not going to give my question. I'm going to end it right there because that was a perfect question and on, buddy.
Nice, man.
I want to thank everybody for listening again this week to the I Shower After Work podcast, again from the East Side Job Trailer. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Tell a friend. John and I really appreciate you helping out this little growing podcast. As well, if you'd like to help out, check out the Buy Us a Beer widget on our website. You can buy us one beer or multiple beers. It all goes back into the podcast. We're not making any money here, folks. We're just trying to entertain you. Everything related to the podcast is on the website, is isawpodcast.com. If you want to be a guest, and this is 2025, the season of guests, we'd sure like you to get on there, sign up on the Be a Guest tab, and we'll make it happen. Don't be worried if you don't think you'll be interesting or you're not in construction. We can get an interesting conversation out of just about anybody, as you saw today.
Right.
Other than that, man, what am I forgetting?
Let everybody know that you can reach out to us directly. Send us a text. You can call us at 507-607-ISAW. That's 507-607-4729. I screwed it up that time.
Yeah, that's all right, buddy.
Or you can even shoot us a DM on Instagram at ISAW Podcast. Both Jason and I have access to all of those options. And we will get back to you as soon as we possibly can because we do actually work for a living still. So
Yes, and we are getting busy with guests, folks. So if you are interested in being a guest, you know somebody wants to be, reach out early. We're filling up spots fast here, so
Yep.
it's going very well. Crispy, we can't thank you enough for coming on with us again. We really hope you'll come back a third time. We'll find something else fun to talk about. Or maybe we'll just
Absolutely.
complain about what's on the news that
maybe
day.
we'll just
right,
bitch about
right.
it a
No,
little
Could
and,
be
and
anything.
I appreciate you guys inviting me back. I have a damn great time every time we sit down here and chat.
We love shooting the shit with you, Chris.
Yes,
It is
yes,
great, man.
This could be a 4-hour episode, no problem.
Yeah.
But we just keep it reasonable for everybody listening today.
Maybe we'll have to do one of these while we're all sitting around a campfire.
Yeah,
on the
campfire.
Also, Crispy has a fantastic bar that he built himself behind his home in Hastings here called the Leatherneck Lounge. Pardon me, just simply Leatherneck Lounge. There's no "the" in the beginning of that. I would love to do an episode from there sometime.
Yeah, absolutely.
That would be great.
Yeah.
We should do that.
Well,
Bring it on the road. We'll do it.
all right. Well, listen, thank you again, everybody, for listening this week. As always, please remember your work keeps the world working. And Crispy, cheers, my friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Cheers.
guys. Thank you, and cheers.
Sláinte.
Be safe this week, everybody. Sláinte.